Yes, Richard, please stay involved because actually we're going to start out making it work using the keyboard. So you'll be able to do that part. And then you can be just like the students and you can stare intently at your screen like you're being productive, and you can play Pong as long as you want. And we'll all think that you're working along with us. So, please stick around. All right. So with that said, let me share my screen here if I can make this work. All right. Hopefully you're seeing the slide deck at this point. Somebody give me a thumbs up. All right. I still remember how to do this. So the Pong activity kind of goes along with what Tony shared with you, getting started with the robot, get familiar with it, and showing the kids a little bit in this activity portion of the activity, how they can use the controller, I should say controller, how they can use the robot as a controller, and that interaction between the computer and the robot itself. And so this is similar to what we would do in page 4 of the first robotic activity, but adapted a little bit for what we're doing here and need to make some adjustments based on some things that have happened at Hummingbird since we've been around and got this written. So resources, similar to what Tony had, you just don't need the light. So if you want to go ahead and disconnect that LED, it might be a little easier to use the robot with what we're going to do. So I'll give a quick pause to pull that wire out. All right, so we're going to start by kind of building the basic Pong game. And let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. So maybe you can follow along off of my slides, or if you're following your own slides, we're going to need the code that I gave you in there. But don't worry about that screen just yet, because I'm going to give you better code than that. But be sure that you're still working from the Bird Brain Control version of Snap, which Tony put you into to be able to do the LED. So if you just want to drag his blocks of code off to the left, that will remove them from your scripting area, and you got a clean scripting area. And we need to create 2 sprites, and I'm actually gonna probably jump back out of sharing screens and show you where that is, because Alonzo gave you a little bit of that but didn't give you too much. So, and what I'm going to actually show you is my completed version, but to create the sprites, you're going to have one sprite that probably looks, let me put a fake one on there, like my 3rd sprite at this point, over here in the sprite corral. And then we want to adapt those a little bit so it looks more like Pong. So we need a paddle, we need a ball. So hitting this button will add a 2nd sprite for you. I added a 3rd. And then if you click on one of those 3 sprites there, it will change a little bit. So if I click on this first sprite, I get the script that I've already written for my first sprite. Click on the 2nd sprite, I see the script for the 2nd sprite. And click on the 3rd, I just created that one. I have no code for that one, no script. And a lot of the things I'm showing you at this point, you will have covered in Unit 1 with your students when they get to this point. So explaining some of these things won't be quite as involved as they are today for us, since we're just getting started. So got those sprites created, and then we can change their costumes. And if I select sprite number 3 and I go to my file menu and I scroll all the way down towards the bottom to costumes, there will be a dialog box that appears here eventually, and it will always move slow when I'm trying to demonstrate this with my students. So today's just another perfect example. But we've got a lot of different options for different costumes that we can give to our sprites to give them different looks. You saw Alonzo before, but that was starter code. They gave you that, and it popped up. And here's where you can find Alonzo. And here's some of the others. So as you scroll down through there on your own, there's a bunch of different things. And as you go, you're going to find a ball. I tried the soccer ball, and it was really glitchy when I tried to use it as my Pong ball. Kind of thought it'd be cool to have an actual ball. That was glitchy. There's a basketball in here that was glitchy as well. So I found that this first ball will work pretty well for what we're doing. And then if you scroll a little further, there is something that kind of represents a paddle. If I remember, if I find it. Hopefully I didn't get past it, and I'm gonna have to go back to it. certainly lots of options. You know, if you want to choose that lightning bolt as your paddle, that might work. I didn't try that one. I think my paddle's on down. Here's my paddle. So it's actually labeled as paddle. When you select it, it's going to be horizontal as opposed to vertical, but we're going to talk through how to fix that as well. All right, so you select your 2 sprites, and we've got a place to code those. So instructions there to walk you through finding where to get your sprites and selecting the costumes in steps 2 and 3. And then I mentioned that point and direction block will help us to rotate that paddle so that it's horizontal instead of vertical. All right, let me know when you're ready to move on.
So the point and direction block, I can just use that, like, what's the argument do? Is that degrees?
Yeah, if you get to that, so here I'm using it. So if you use the little drop down to the right, you can select, I think it defaults to 90 or right. And if you choose 0, it should move it so that it's vertical instead of horizontal. So there's a little bit of a glitch with Hummingbird right now with opening starter projects that I'm gonna need to put my head together with the folks from Hummingbird to see if we can figure out how to get those starter projects for the Hummingbirds to work like the one you saw from Alonzo, which would give the students the sprites at this point as well, and you wouldn't have to worry about creating those. So there'll be a little bit less effort in that portion of creating this. All right, so again, let me know when you're ready to move on.
Wait, are we just getting the sprites, or did you want us to make the coding on the slide also?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we would kind of walk through a little bit of this together. So,
Okay, like I got the sprites. I just didn't know if there was
okay. Richard, how you doing with the sprites?
Feeling a little lost here.
Okay.
Yeah, it took me a sec, that's for sure.
Where are the sprites at? Because I'm just going from scratch. I just looked at your code and I just started doing that code that you have right there.
Okay. So if you look at my screen,
Yep.
to add a new sprite is over here underneath the stage.
Yep.
And then to change the costume, you go to the file menu and choose costume.
Yeah, what I didn't realize was like you had to actually like select which sprite you're trying to change the costume for. I just kept important, like, why is it just changing one?
I didn't mention that, so thank you for reminding me. So once you get that first one, then you click the next one and select a costume for that one as well.
Oh.
That would be important.
When I select the one I put on here, like I select that, and then I go to change, then I go to costumes, right? It just gives me the turtle, the arrow, and then a paint, a new costume, and then a picture thing. I don't get those options.
So select it here, and did you go over to the file menu?
Oh.
And then select costumes from there.
Oh. Okay. I got it now.
Okay.
Didn't even see that. Let's do some other stuff.
Alan, you got your sprites ready to go? Alan, you're muted.
No, because I can't find the paddle.
It's way down towards the bottom.
Like honestly, like I just grabbed a building and just use that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the paddle, but just something that's got that vertical look to it.
Yeah, I was tempted to use the building too.
You can
That's-
also draw one if you like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can draw and you can take a picture, or you can import images that you already have, or you go find and use them for sprites.
Now I do have a question. Does Snap have like a phone app?
You can run Snap from your phone. It's not I don't believe it's an app as much as if you open a web browser on your phone and log into, or go to Snap on your phone and then log into your account, then you can open your programs there. Or if somebody shares a file with you, a program with you, you can just click the URL that they've given you and it should open. And so you can play stuff on your phone. It's really hard to program on your phone.
It's
Is the-
hard, but it's doable.
It's doable, but
It's
I-
doable.
I spent about 15 minutes with it one day and said, it's just the blocks are just way too small and I'm dragging the wrong block out. And so if you got the ability to do that, great, but it, it wasn't for me.
No, I understand that.
Okay, so how do I get the next sprite? So can you just do the process again? So when I go, I already did the file. I got that.
All
Okay,
right, so you've got one. If you need to add another sprite, then
yeah,
it's going to be over under the stage, the arrow that's pointing off to the right.
that says, so sprite one I have, right?
Okay,
Well,
so
I
just
can-
below the stage, there's a sprite looking thing there.
Okay, every time I do it, I get a page unresponsive.
Oh,
It's nice. Yeah, makes me feel at home. All right, so now I have 3 in my work area.
okay. So then whichever one you want to work with next, you click on it over there in the sprite corral.
It's-
So I've clicked on this third one.
So do I bring them over to the work area? Like
Nope, you
this?
just click it there.
Yeah,
And then in the scripting area, you can work with scripts, you can work with your costumes, and you can work with sounds. And you don't really need to worry too much at this point. I have no scripts for this third one because I just created that one. But if I click on my second one, then I've got my code for the second one.
all right.
And
So
then,
on my, when I'm looking at my page here, I have under where it says costumes, I have 3 chosen, an apple, a paddle, and an orange, okay? And
Okay.
then over in, what are you calling the white box? What do you call that? Is that the work area or,
up here,
uh,
are you
Yeah.
seeing my cursor?
yes, let me just get back to where you are. Yeah, so mine don't show underneath the white box. They only show on the left-hand side under costumes, under the tab. So how do
Okay.
I get them into the white box?
So the white box on the right is the stage. Below the stage is the sprite corral. And that shows you the sprites that you have created.
So I
So
only
you-
have one there.
Okay, so between the stage and that corral where you see your one sprout, you've got 3 buttons. One's an arrow pointing to the right, a paintbrush, and a camera.
Yeah.
If you hit that arrow pointing to the right, that's add new turtle sprite.
Okay,
And then that should give you a new sprite. So now we've got 2 characters that will interact with each other as opposed to with Alonzo was just 1 character.
okay, so how do I change the one that I just imported?
Click on it over in the sprite corral on the right.
Yeah.
And then go back to the file menu, costumes, and select a new costume.
Oh, so you have to do that for every single one?
Yes, but we're only doing 2. So
All right. It's not liking the opening costumes. It's just sitting there
Sometimes that moves slow.
unresponsive again, you know? So, okay,
So during planning, when you're practicing and you're making sure everything's working,
yeah,
that dialog box will appear and all those sprites will load in milliseconds.
yeah,
And then when you try to do it with your students and you're displaying and you want them to do it, that's when it's going to take forever.
yeah. It's either that or somebody gets a nosebleed, you know? Okay, I have 2 in the white box now.
All right, great.
And
So-
you wanted me to make the other one horizontal, but I do that with the code, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So back to the slide deck. I think we have completed everything that we need. Just comment there at the bottom. You can select from the sprites that Snap gives you, or you can import images and you can draw your own, create your own things as well. And we'll play more with that in August, I think. So the second slide that I'm going to give you is coding the paddle. So select the paddle sprite from the sprite corral. So that's going to be this guy. So select him, and in my scripting area, I've already done it, but here's the code we need. So we're going to go to X of 220 and a Y of 0. If your sprite is horizontal and not vertical, we can use that point in direction 0. But if you manage to find a sprite that is already vertical, then don't worry with that
where
block
is
of
it
code.
under looks?
Yeah, those are all looks. They're blue, so they're in looks. And then I can jump over here and show you some of those as well. Actually, not looks, but motion for the point and direction.
Motion,
Yeah, so it's the
direction.
4th one down.
Yeah, and then just make it 0.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we need a forever. And 2 ifs. And for this first version, this is just, let's just play it using the keyboard just to kind of mess around with that a little bit, kind of get the concept of, all right, here's what the game's supposed to do. And then some real quick changes once we get the game playing, we'll turn it into using the robot.
You want us to put that code in ours?
Yeah, go ahead and create that code if you haven't started on that. And those conditionals there that you're seeing, the key arrow or key up arrow pressed is going to be in sensing. It's going to have space in it. It's this one. But it's got to drop down so we can select whichever key we would prefer. And then the if on edge bounce is going to keep the ball inside the stage. If we don't have that code and we move that ball in a direction, it's just going to go in that direction forever and it's going to go right off the stage and never to be seen again. If on edge bounce, we'll bring it back. And then once it bounces, we change Y by 10.
Wait, is this the balls code
Um,
or the palette?
this is the
Paddle.
paddle. I'm sorry, I was talking about the ball bouncing off, but we don't want the paddle to go off the stage either.
Okay.
So we wanted the if on edge bounce so that we always see the paddle and it stops at the top of the page. And once you've got that code, if you want to run it, see if it makes the paddle move for you and stops at the top of the page or at the bottom of the page, or stage, I should say. You can try that. Let me know when you got your code for your paddle and I'll show you the code for the ball.
Okay, so I have that, the code there, and my paddle, I have in the code there, where to start, point in direction 0 so that it's vertical, and then just a forever loop. If you press the up arrow, if you go to the edge, you bounce, otherwise you change Y by 10. If it's the down arrow, same thing. If on edge bounce, change Y by -10. That's all you want for the paddle?
It's just that simple.
Yeah, okay.
So you can click the green flag and then try your arrows to see if the paddle's moving.
Yep.
Good.
And then now to do the code for the other sprite, you click on it first and
Yes.
then put your scripts there. Okay, cool. Got it.
All right.
I'm turning off my battery on my my battery pack.
Okay. You'll need to reconnect in a bit, but
Yeah, it's all right.
all right. Are we all ready for this code for the ball then? All right. So there's the code for the ball. So again, when green flag's clicked, and we're going to start the ball at 0, 0. And that brings another point. The stage for snap, 0, 0 is in the center of the stage. A lot of programming languages don't do that. Snap does, I think, for the sake of making that connection to some of the math skills that they know. It's that way. Something to take some folks some getting used to who have done some programming in other languages. But 0, 0 is the middle of the stage. And then we point in a direction and you can mess around with the values there, but 45 and 90 send the ball off in that direction. And then another forever, another if on edge bounce. And we want to respond a little bit differently if it touches the paddle than if it touches the back wall. So if touching the sprite, then we point in direction -1 times direction. And that's a point where you could stop and make some more math connection. The ball is traveling at a direction. We want it to reverse direction based on the contact with the paddle. And we move it 10 steps just to kind of make it speed up a little bit and look more like a bounce. And if it didn't touch the paddle, then we still want it to move 5 steps in that forever loop. So that'll keep the ball moving. Again, the if on edge bounce will keep the ball inside the stage. And we should be able to interact a little bit differently with the paddle than with the walls.
The pick random and the other green box, they can be found in the operator palette.
All right, and once you've got that code, again, you can try it. And Richard, this is the part where you can just sit and play Pong intently. But we want to make sure we've got this going. All right, let me know if you're running into issues or if you got it working. All right, Malik's got his thumb up.
I can't get it to recognize sprite 2. So if touching,
So is your paddle Sprite or Sprite 2?
my paddle is sprite 1.
Okay, so then,
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah, all right.
all right, Richard, see your thumbs up there too. So you guys can play a little bit while we're putting finishing touches on here. So hopefully by the fall, we'll get it figured out so that students can open a starter code that's going to have all this Pong in it to this point, and therefore they'll just be able to open this up, play a little bit with what we're creating right now, and then move into let's make the robot do the work for us or do the play for us.
Okay, I think I have it working.
All right.
Just an observation though, you can move the paddle way off of the white work area.
Did you include a if on edge bounce for the paddle as well? So there's the code for,
Yes. But that uses the keys, right? If I just click on the, right? So if I'm just using my, like my mouse on here, right? If I don't use the up and down arrows, I can just do whatever I want,
okay.
right? Is that
Yeah, that makes sense.
beyond,
You could,
that's
yeah,
beyond what we're trying to do? Okay, yeah, all right.
yeah, you can
Good.
drag it everywhere, but when you hit that green flag again, it's going to go back to 20 or 220. So it'll go back in center again when we start the game again.
Yeah.
All right, so if you turned off your Hummingbird, you might want to hit the power button on the battery pack and turn that back on and make sure it's connected. And we were hopefully still working from the Hummingbird version of Snap. And with the Hummingbird version of Snap, at the bottom of the sensing blocks, you see the Hummingbird version of the buttons that Hummingbird has added. If we pull out that microbit button A and we replace the key up arrow with the microbit button A and replace this one as well, and then the drop down menu in that block will allow you to select the B button. So now, if I stop and start again, just to make sure that we're all right spot, if I press a button, my paddle moves. I'm hoping you're seeing my fingers in my camera and the paddle on the screen. So Malik, have you drifted off and looking at memes, or are you actually playing the game and smiling because you're seeing the game and having fun?
Yeah, my bad. I was not expecting like to play like this is sick. This is awesome.
And obviously you can change the game. You can adjust the speed that the ball moves by how many steps it moves at a time.
Oh yeah, I already did that. It was moving too slow for me.
Yeah, and we can change the speed of the paddle with those change X and Y, or change the Y by. So we can adjust the game, make it harder, make it easier. We haven't seen it yet, but I believe there is a way to scale the size of the sprites. So much smaller paddle or much smaller ball maybe makes it a little more challenging as well.
I do have a question.
Okay.
How do we make like a score to like keep track of how many times they hit the paddle, but if it hits the wall, then it basically goes back to 0?
Well, we haven't gotten there yet. And like I said, I think there's some things from Unit 1 that you'll get into before you get to this activity that would help with that. And you actually jumped ahead a couple slides on me, which one of my last slides is what else can we do with this? So thanks.
My bad.
Thanks for ruining my big clip finish there.
I'm so sorry.
I have a question for where
ahead.
we are then.
Okay.
Looking forward to the score thing. That's awesome. What if I just put a microbit? Could I just connect the microbit without going through Hummingbird and use the A and B buttons? Is there a way to do that?
I didn't try it. I thought about that yesterday. I don't know that.
I don't think it's going to work, Richard. The hummingbird that will come to you. Well, let me start. When a hummingbird, when a microbit is sent out, it's programmed with its own operating system, which is put on it by the BBC. And so when you first turn it on, it won't have that 3-letter code that that Malik and Ellen and I was saying. Because what happens at Hummingbird is they take these brand new ones when they come in, they plug them into a computer and they load the Hummingbird operating system. And so that's why you see the 3-letter code. So unfortunately, yours wouldn't work because there isn't a way of tying Snap with your Hummingbird, with your microbit.
Microbit, okay. Makes sense.
Okay,
right.
sorry. Yep.
That's all right. Yeah. The next step is to use the accelerometer built into the microbit to use the controller. So now it's going to be more like a Wii game where we move the controller instead of pressing the buttons. So I believe it's going to be this microbit screen up, but we were going to either say tilt left or tilt right. And we'll replace the microbit button with this one. And we can right click and duplicate that same block of code instead of dragging it out. And now we tilt right and we stop. And we start again. And if we tilt a little more difficult to get it to work, but
that's pretty neat.
But now the kids are holding their controller in their hand, and those that are partial to the Wii and the Wii systems will relate to that a little bit. And this is not working nearly as well today as it was yesterday for me, but so again, if we figured out so that we can give the students the starter code and they don't have to code the game, and we can get them away from playing the game with the keyboard and get them into actually, all right, we'll make the game play on the Hummingbird, then they can get a real quick introduction to some of the things that the microbit will do for them, as well as a little bit of extra practice with connecting to the Hummingbird and the intricacies that are there that aren't in the rest of the curriculum that don't require the Hummingbird. So kind of tipped my hand already on my big finish.
Wait, just before we, I know I keep going back to that. I know, but a workaround could, like say if I just had this and not a Hummingbird, then I could like go to microbit.org and do the AB buttons to make the thingy, to make a game, I guess.
It probably wouldn't work in Snap.
I mean,
Or
no,
at
go
least
to
not in-
microbit.org.
Yeah,
Microbit.org.
some of the other programming
Yeah,
languages, and they're not coming to my mind what they are, but you could
Yeah.
certainly do similar things
Sure.
with the microbit.
Yeah, you could use make code, which will work directly on the microbit as it is now. But make code it's a sort of pseudo block language, so you certainly could use that. The other thing I can do, Richard, I will put a link in the chat to enable you to load the hex. The hex file is what it turns it into a Hummingbird compatible microbit. Okay. And I'll put that in there so that you can do that way. You can actually use your it sounds like my can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Now you're cutting out.
I can hear you.
Okay, my headset's suddenly turned off, but obviously
cut out a little bit, but you're okay now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, what I'll do, Richard, I'll find that link for you and put it into the chat. What you would need to do is to connect your microbit to your computer using a micro USB cable.
Got it.
Okay. Then I'll go and do that, Matt, and you carry on with your wrap up.
Sure. So, yeah, Malik, besides score, what other changes do you think we could make to this game to make it more interesting? And I hinted at a few as well.
I've definitely just been adjusting like the speeds of the ball, the speeds of the paddle. This tilting motion, this is sick. This is revolutionary by itself. Like,
Richard?
Yeah, I actually tried it. I just copied my sprite when I couldn't create a sprite, and it just reminded me of something that a kid made last semester in Make Code. So I added a second paddle. So I put a wizard and a witch in. They're my paddles. And so I made the one, I copied yours up and down arrow for making the wizard go up and down. And I made the witch A and Z for going up and down. So it could be like a game, I guess. Or
Two-player?
two kids can be on the keyboard, pressing the keys.
Yes.
And that's another way. And the other one is I haven't done it yet, but I was looking around. They would say I have ADHD, but I guess, and there a way that you can you make it sense your camera? Like, is there a camera sense thing on there? Like you push your hand like this, you go like this, and it moves. Would it
I
do
don't know
that?
that we're there yet with
Oh.
Snap. I'm not familiar with being able to do that, but
Okay.
there is a follow. So you could get the computer to play and you'll never beat it because the paddle follows the ball.
Oh.
So as
Yeah.
as the ball moves, the paddle's going to move with it. So it's always going to be there when the ball gets to it.
Do it. Yeah.
Certainly don't tell the kids that they're never going to beat the computer, but
just try it, guys.
yeah,
Have everyone
keep
do
trying,
it.
keep trying. Let me know when you get it.
There's a way.
You're going to get it any minute now. So, those types of things, certainly you could play the computer, you could play two-player. And when we get together, and since you won't be there, but we can show you ways that you can connect multiple robots to the same snap screen. So you could have two students, one with one hummingbird in their hand, another with the second hummingbird in their hand. They're both connected to the same game, so they could both play off of that same computer.
It's crazy.
So that would work too. All right, so our reflection on the Pong. I didn't add any questions there, but I did ask that. What else could we add? So any other thoughts on this activity?
Before anyone chips in, Matt, I just want to let Richard know I did send you a link in the chat to the hex.
All right, I know I'm just taking us off track here, but is it Hummingbird Bitfinch 2 Chrome Windows? So I can just pick Windows and let it, or should I go with Chrome since that's my browser, or what? Any way would work.
Tony's muted. If you're using a Windows machine, you're going to want the Windows directions.
No, you don't. What you need to do, Richard, is scroll down about 3/4 of the way down the page and find firmware. Find the firmware section.
Okay. And
you'll see there BBT firmware.hex.
Yep. Download.
That's it. That's the one you need.
Okay. Thank you. I'm doing it. Yep.
So, any more reflection on this? Malik, I think you give it a thumbs up all the way around, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was over here finding myself entertained. I actually figured out, because I was listening to Richard and I was like, wait a minute, I can make a second paddle and had the paddles connected to the buttons while the other ones were connected to the tilt. And now I kind of play myself.
Crazy.
Like all I need to now figure out is the score part. Once I get the score part, oh yeah, I got a little game for myself now.
All right. So when we meet in August, I'm expecting to see a version that's got score in it.
Yes, sir. No, like
thank you everyone for joining us today. We've pretty much covered everything we'd hoped to cover today, and I'm absolutely delighted that even if you weren't able to follow along with the Hummingbird, Richard, you were able to follow along at least with the being able to do the coding and test it. thank you all for joining us. This will be segmented up with some help from Matt into videos. We will be sending out another, if you have time, activity to do just to sort of refresh your memories the week before we get together in Richmond. But it's purely up to you if you do it. It's just a nice example of snap coding. But otherwise, we'll obviously look forward to seeing you all in Richmond, apart from Richard, on the 1st of August. And any reflections on the overall, what we've done today? Any thoughts or any comments or any suggestions for improvement that you might like to share?
Even though I didn't have the bot and I was, mother of invention thinking, I was thinking you all actually opened my eyes up to, I really didn't do much with the microbit. I just used those little projects they have. There's so many other ways I could have taken this, I think, just from your application of what you're doing here. And also, I didn't really think much of bird brain. I mean, I don't really know how this thing works. So I'm really excited actually to get it in my hands now, because it's like, it hardly has any parts, but that's really the beauty of it. You don't have parts everywhere. Every time they leave the class, you got a big bin of pieces that they didn't put away. And that's the beauty. And it does so much more than I ever thought it would. I mean, you all are probably scratching the surface, and I know we're going to get into it deeper. So I'm inspired and excited, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get my principal or director to pony up some Becky's. Maybe I'll do donors choose to get some kits in, unless you guys have some kind of scholarship fund y'all know about.
No, unfortunately not. As ExCITE teachers, however, you do get an 18% discount on orders that are placed via the ExCITE, not via us. All you would need to do is have an email from me saying that you're an ExCITE teacher. You would forward that with your purchase order, and you would get the 18% discount from Hummingbird. So that reduces the individual cost from 200 plus. I think it's down to 165 for each kit, and a kit will do 2 students. So just keep us posted, and that obviously applies to Alan and Malik and the rest of the teachers when they join us. If we do get scale up money for next year, which would mean we would actually start working in New York, North Carolina and other states, you folks would actually be, because you've undertaken the training, you would be part of the ExCITE teachers for the next school year, which would mean you would have professional development support all the way through the year and the ability to call upon us. If we don't get scale up in August, we'll make sure that you have the contact information for all of us, so that as you're going through the year, if you have any questions or whatever, we'll be able to give you whatever support we can going forward. We believe in this project, and it's exciting for us to see all 3 of you inspired by what's happened today. So, and we want to obviously keep that going and support it if we can. So,
another question though. I remember when, because I did get some donors choose, and one source they had ran out of process, etc. Blah blah blah. So I ended up with microbit version 1 and microbit version 2 or something, and one didn't have sound, the new one has sound, or something. They didn't really behave the same way. Does it matter which microbit that we get to work with this unit?
Nope.
Okay.
It doesn't make any difference at all. They're backward compatible. The Hummingbird blocks that are in Snap will work with both versions. At some point in the future, what we will do, there are some features on microbit 2 that are worth exploiting. At some point in the future, when we're pretty sure everyone's using the microbit 2, there's an intention to move to more sophisticated projects. The buzzer, for example, on microbit 2 is much better than the little beep that you get on microbit now. So, but yeah, but for now, they're interchangeable.
Good. That's awesome to know.
Cool. Okay, Matt, anything you want to? Oh, sorry, Ellen, go ahead.
Okay, the only thing I would say is, I think when you're doing the training, I'm just explaining from my point of view. If I were doing the training, every time I had somebody either take a component out or put it away, I might model, what does that look like? Because we all struggle with this system,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Putting everything away.
That's a
So
great idea.
if you're teaching it, you say, okay, now we're taking out this motor, and the motor has on it this position sticker. And when we put it away, it's going to go in this little box here where we have photocopied. This is how I do it. We photocopy the little sticker, and we put
Got
a
it.
copy of that in the bin.
Oh, that's a
So
good
they have no
idea.
excuse, right? But
No.
like, I think we have to develop some kind of system, and we have to
Sure.
model, because it's torture. Everybody knows, you don't want that big bin full of like LEDs. Some of them are broken, some, right? We all struggle
Yeah.
with this. So that would be something I think we could kick around.
Sure,
We're together. How are we going to do this? Because if I have
sure.
15 robots, 15 kits, how am I going to handle this?
Yeah.
Sure. Malik, you've got the premium kit. I don't have mine is so broken up over the years of using. Malik, I think in your premium kit, doesn't it have a sheet in there, an 8x11, that shows you which where all of the components should be stored?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
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 that's
wow.
so.
Are those
So
still
we all-
stickers?
well, you're getting me all crazy
yes.
excited now about this.
So yes, so it is possible to be able to do just what you were describing, Ellen. There is a resource in the kit that, as a teacher,
great.
you can help get them organized. So thank you, Malik. I'm glad you had that
Thanks for
to add.
saying that, because
Yes,
I'm
So anything else anyone else would like to add? Malik, any final thoughts?
Nah, this was amazing. Like, this is awesome. I've always been the type of person that I have like a deep like passion, and then I get like a deep full like bliss feeling when I'm like just learning. So it's like, okay, cool. This is something I didn't know per se. So I was like, all right, got to learn something new. I'm about to play around with it. So as soon as I do see y'all August 1st, I can show y'all a neat little game where if I can play by myself.
You're gonna be a millionaire.
Something true. I know it is something I'm
That's great.
gonna play around more with, definitely.
Okay, that's great, Malik. I'm looking forward to our getting together in August. I think there's going to be some good fun activities coming out of this group. Matt, anything you'd like to add before we finish?
Richard, I don't know what the weather's like for you, but if you're gonna go stand by your mailbox and wait for your mailman this afternoon, you might want an umbrella with you. Yeah,
yeah, it is out here too.
I
Okay.
have a
Well,
feeling.
my county's part of the world.
Yeah,
Don't y'all get a
sent
lot
it-
of rain out there?
Oh, we had 7 inches in the last 2 days. So yeah, but never mind.
Yeah,
Marnie,
but you all needed that rain badly.
yeah, it's been very dry for a long time. So, but anyway, Marnie, anything you want to add as we leave?
No, I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
mine.
thank you all so much for joining us today, and thank you for making it an enjoyable session through today. It's been a lot of fun. Anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks' time. Well, except for Richard, in Richmond. So, bye for now.
Thank you.
See guys.
Bye.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Bye.